Hey, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of The Rock Experience with Mike Brund. On this episode, I take Vincent and Super Mario out of their comfort zone to talk about the classic My Chemical Romance album, The Black Parade. We'll go song by song, talking about the songs that we don't like, and we'll give our opinions. As always, we look forward to seeing and reading yours, and all opinions are welcome. Lots to cover in this episode. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. So let's jump in and let's get started. Hey, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of The Rock Experience with Mike Brun. Tonight, I'm excited to have with me not one, but two comrades with me. Please welcome to the show, Vincent and Mario. How are you guys doing today?
Okay, how you guys doing?
Excellent. Mario, I was thinking about this. I think the last time the three of us did a podcast together was in October.
1972.
1972, yeah, pretty much. No, I think it was October when we did the Alice Cooper album that you chose, right? I think that was the last time we did a
And
podcast together.
yes, and tonight's the payback.
Tonight's the well, I think this is payback times two, probably in your case, but and we'll talk about that in a moment. Although we did get together for a nice, fun afternoon, like February or March time period when we went around Brooklyn, some of our old stomping grounds, right?
That was so much fun to go
Yes.
go to those places with two guys that lived through it. You explain to other people, why Brooklyn's so special, and sometimes they don't get it, but you guys get it. So that
Absolutely.
was that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was. And we topped it off with a nice meal at L&B at the end of the evening. So anybody who's grown up in Brooklyn knows L&B, and that was a premium day.
Although,
It
did you
was
guys have
wonderful.
pizza? Did you guys have
Yes,
pizza?
yes, we had.
I,
I had pizza as an appetizer.
Yes.
that's right. I don't think I had pizza. I think I had my classic fettuccine alfredo.
Should I boot him out of this right now, Mario? He goes to L&B and he
Listen,
doesn't get pizza.
Doesn't get the
listen.
pizza.
My pizza card there is well known. All right, I've invested many a dollar in that place. You don't even try to question my pizza card there.
That is
And
fair.
and for the record, we were in the L&B restaurant.
Yes, we
Okay,
were.
which
Yes.
is a little bit different of a thing. You go in there and you see that menu. Come on,
Yes.
you know.
But Mary and I did it the right way. We still got the pizza.
That's it. They expect you to order the pizza as an appetizer.
Exactly.
But I think Mr. LaRue had the galamad.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh, the fried
That's
calamari.
right. That's right. And we did have that nice
And-
dessert at the end.
That was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
The best part of the fried calamari is Mike ate none of it, but he helped pay for it. That was the
That's
best part.
Oh, that is true. I did eat absolutely none of it, but
If,
So,
if it doesn't have barbecue sauce, he's not eating it.
That's
well,
it.
I mean, you could put, I guess, barbecue sauce on calamari.
They'll throw you out.
Yeah, they probably would. Oh man, good clean fun. But yeah, so we got together, I guess, like you said, the last time was for the Alice Cooper album. And at the end of that, I said, you know what? Hey, I'm going to return the favor and introduce you guys to an album. And I'm just going to start here. I'm going to give a little bit of a background for a minute or two only, because I think probably like the two of you guys, a lot of my viewers and listeners have probably heard of the band, but don't know much about the band, right? So I went back and forth in my mind as to what band and what album I was going to choose. And I ultimately decided to choose this particular album, which is My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade. And I'll talk about why I chose the album in a moment. But, for those watching and listening and don't know, My Chemical Romance actually comes from New Jersey. I don't know if you guys know that. So no, they don't sound like Bruce Springsteen or Bon Jovi or any of those other, famous artists that come from New Jersey. But they actually started as a direct reaction, I guess, to 9/11. So the lead singer was an artist, a struggling artist, and trying to get cartoons on TV and comic books. And when he watched 9/11 happen, he decided he needs to have a new outlook in life and try something new. And so right after 9/11, he created this band with the drummer, And it's amazing. Within a year, they had their first album out on an independent label. And within 2 years, they were signed to a major record label. So you'd want to talk about a quote unquote overnight success. This definitely could qualify as that. By 2004, their first album on a major record label came out, and that one really kind of is what brought them to popularity. Platinum selling album, had a few songs on MTV and even, rock radio. Vin, I know you're familiar with the song I'm Not Okay. I think you play that in one of the bands that you're in right now, right? So they had a couple of, I'll say, MTV type hits on it. They went back in to do their third album and they said, well, we don't want to do the same thing again. We don't want to just do another hard rock, emo, whatever you want to call it, kind of record. We want to do something different. And that's what brought them to do this album, the one we'll talk about, which some fans consider, I'll say, a rock opera, is what they called it, right? It ended up being the 2006 album, The Black Parade, which went on to sell almost 5 million copies. It's a widely considered, in Rolling Stone magazine, I think they consider one of the 500 best albums of all time that you have to listen to. Kerrang calls it one of the 666 albums you have to listen to before you die. It has been streamed over 1 billion times on Spotify. It's, over 1 billion streams of the videos on YouTube. This is all a way for me to say the album was a huge success.
Yes.
But I like to say one thing, and I say this all, Vin, you and I have spoke about this. I look at something like Michael Jackson's Thriller, the most successful album of all time, right? I look at AC/DC's Back in Black, the most successful hard rock album of all time, right? I looked this up once. Back in Black has sold about 45 million copies. Since 1980, that means 99.5% of the population in the world does not own that album. Okay. So, well, I bring that up because when we talk about things being a success, and this album, the Black Parade, is a huge success, keep in mind that an overwhelming majority of the population, even for the most successful albums, don't like them and don't buy them, right? So I always keep that in mind. And why do I bring that up? Because I knew when I chose this album, this was not in the two of your wheelhouse, especially Mario, with what I knew from you. I didn't think it was really in your wheelhouse at all. But I'll tell you why I chose that, okay? So for those who are watching and listening right now, why don't we just take a moment, just in a minute or so, Mario, just explain the type of artist you normally listen to.
Okay. Well, I grew up addicted to AM radio, so I'm very hit oriented. And in the mid 70s, it was all Elton John, Billy Joel. The furthest I rocked out with was Kiss and Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith. And my kids, they always kid around with me and they say, Dad, there's nothing in your playlist after 1985. And when I told them I was doing this one tonight, they was like, come again? What? You heard of these guys? And I said, well, I didn't hear about them until, Mike brought them up.
Yeah.
But it's funny how these algorithm works, because I get a lot of Alice Cooper, alerts on my phone.
Yeah.
And one of them was that he was going to be playing the ballpark in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I said, well, wait a second, Alice Cooper can't hold a ballpark, at this point in his career.
Right.
So I looked into it and I was like, he's opening for My Chemical Romance. I was like, oh, wait a second. That's the band that Mike is always going to see with his family, because not only do I follow your page, but we're also friends on Facebook.
Sure.
And when you do family things, you post it. I was like, oh yeah, My Chemical Romance. That's Mike's band.
Yeah.
And then now I'm in the My Chemical Romance algorithm.
My apologies.
And now they tell me they're playing, MetLife Stadium and the tickets are insane and they're sold out. I was like, there's something about this band, and then this is the Challenge album. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And I'll say why I chose this specific album in a moment. But yes, Mario, you're 100% right. I've gone to see this band somewhere between 7 and 10 times with my family. However, I also tell everybody in my family, I'm the only one in my family that saw My Chemical Romance on tour for this specific album that we're talking about.
Wow.
Okay, so I was the first one in the family that liked them. I give my daughter a hard time about that all the time. I saw them on the Black Parade tour and you did it. So it's not like it was my kids that got me into it. It's actually reverse. I got my kids into this band. I got my wife into this band. And in fact, the first time I saw this band, they opened up for Bon Jovi. Weird mix, I know, but obviously
Wow.
both New Jersey bands. It was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first show ever at the new Newark Arena.
Oh,
So
that's
since so
something.
since My Chemical Romance is a New Jersey
Wow.
band,
Right,
Bon
right.
Jovi picked them to open. So technically speaking, My Chemical Romance is the very first band to ever play that new arena in Newark.
That's great.
Right. So, all
That
right.
is
So that's a
great.
little bit of your music background. Vin, I know you've been on the show a number of times, but just for those who maybe are watching and never seen you on the show before, explain your musical background as well.
Yeah, I mean, very similar to Mario's, but I also listened to growing up a lot of R&B music, a lot of Motown, the Philadelphia sound, even some jazz and stuff like that. In the household, yeah, but mostly a classic rock. Everything that we've talked about.
Mhm.
Obviously, Kiss and the Beatles, of course.
Yes.
Although really the Beatles was like a late teenage discovery where I really delved into the songwriting aspect and really what they were doing. I
Yeah.
knew a lot of the songs, obviously, but I'll go anywhere from to Barry Manilow, seriously, to Metallica or something on that. I really love all most genres of music and
Yeah.
styles. The Carpenters, I'll listen to the Carpenters all day long.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff. So yeah, that's kind of dating myself. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but
but I'm,
that's
I'm
kind of
glad you brought up Metallica because as I was going through my thoughts of what bands I would choose, I thought even a band like Metallica, who's obviously well established and well known, Mary, I thought that was not even in your wheelhouse. So I knew kind of, and
They're
I could be
not.
wrong, correct? They're
They're
not
not.
exactly. So I knew picking this album was a little dangerous. And so now let me talk a little bit about why I chose this album. Then we'll talk
Okay,
about the album itself, right?
sure.
So I've loved this album for 20 years, right? And for 20 years, I've read
ratings
and
ruined.
well, look, there's no surprise if I'm choosing the album that I like it, right? But
Yeah.
I've loved this album for 20 years. Like you said, Mario, they're on tour this summer, selling out stadiums across America, playing this album front to back. Okay,
Right,
so
right.
this is the album that really sets them apart. But for years, I've always read and heard, and I know I could listen to it myself and I could hear it, that there's a lot of, they wanted to do something different, like I said, and draw from some of their 70s influences. So I was curious to hear an opinion of two guys, and this is why I asked you to say what bands you listen to, who don't really venture out. Like Mario, you said your record collection has nothing after 1985,
It's
right?
sad.
No, it's not sad. Everybody's got their thing, right? So I was curious to
He's
say,
exaggerating, by the way. He's
of
exaggerating.
course, but the point is still well taken, right? So
Yes.
so I was curious to say, all right, when introduced to something out of your wheelhouse that is influenced by stuff in your wheelhouse, I knew that I could tell you right off the top, there was 4 or 5 songs on this album that Mario was going to say, Mike, I don't know if I ever want to talk to you again. This is horrible. What have you done to me? I knew that going in. If I was going to try to make an album choice for My Chemical Romance that I thought you may like, I would have chosen the follow-up album. The follow-up album has a little bit more dance elements to it, believe it or not. It sounds nothing like this. They have harmony vocals in it. It's certainly much more melodic. It's very, at the time, a lot of their fans hated the album. If I was trying to convert you into a My Chemical Romance fan, I would have started there because that's closer to your wheelhouse. Not
Okay.
in it necessarily, but closer. But I was curious to see getting you and Vincent out of your comfort zones a little bit, you more so, could you find anything on an album like this that draws off of the 70s influences that you're like, well, that's interesting. I don't expect you to love the album. Maybe I'm going to be surprised. And you can say, wow, all right, Mike, this really surprised me. And Vincent, in your case, I had your thoughts and your comments in my mind that you feel like a lot of newer music is, I don't know, I'm going to use the words cookie cutter for lack of better words, right? And in my opinion, this album is not necessarily cookie cutter. Doesn't mean you're going to like it, but it's not cookie cutter. I'm like, well, could you find something about this album that's not quote unquote typical of today's music? And that's why I went with this album. It doesn't mean you're going to like it. And we're going to go through the songs and I'll learn which if you do or don't, and if there's anything that did stick. But and I'm very curious. But that's why I chose this album. It was not a safe choice that I'm like, oh, Mario and Vince are gonna like this. it was really more so because of those influences where the band said they pulled from Pink Floyd, they pulled from Queen, they pulled from David Bowie, they pulled from Judas Priest and others when writing the songs on this album. And quite honestly, I hear it in some of the songs. But I was curious if guys who are so tried and true classic rock fans also hear that and what you guys' thoughts were.
Well,
Okay.
let me say one thing as
Go ahead.
just like a little reverse challenge.
Go ahead.
I awarded one song on this album as a perfect 10.
Wow. Whoa. Oh
One.
my God. Wow. That I
So
did not expect. A
let's have
perfect 10. Wow.
let's have some fun. Write it down somewhere, and
By the way, Mario's drunk.
whoever gets it
Perfect 10.
whoever gets it right gets a little something. I'll get you an 8-track, Vinny, if you get it
Well,
I
right.
know which
well,
one. If there is one, I know which one it is.
I could rule
I
out
feel like
4 or 5 of them right off the
can I
top that I know it's not perfect.
can we fold it in the paper again and guess? You know?
I don't have do I have a piece of paper here?
Yeah,
Yes,
but how am I
I
gonna
do.
know? Oh, you could do it there.
I
Well,
don't
just
have
keep
a
it in.
pen.
We trust you. What you're gonna say?
Okay.
I'm not gonna think you lie.
Right.
Don't say
Yeah.
yeah. No, don't say
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I'm not
No,
going
wait.
to. I'm
If you
looking
go
at the
to,
list of songs to think which one will it be. A
I know which one.
perfect
Perfect.
10.
Perfect 10.
Why I never would have. I'm stunned right now that
Can
there's
I?
actually that you
Only
think there's a
one.
perfect 10 on
All right.
this.
So let's not say yeah because then we're
Yeah.
gonna know which one it is.
No.
All right. So, but I think I know which
When
one it is.
I'll reveal it when we get to it or at
Yeah.
the end of the show.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, we're
Excellent.
going in order of the song.
We'll go in
So
Right.
order of
We'll
the
go.
song, so
Yes.
I'll let you know. I'll let
All
you
right.
know.
You know what?
this is a trick
Because
tricky thing
I'll be gushing,
because then you can say it.
just so you know.
All
Right.
right.
Right. No. But I have 2 songs that are in mind.
All right.
All right. So, but I'm not going to say.
All right.
But so that right off the top, Mara, that makes me happy because I knew I got you out of your wheelhouse, and this is why I wanted to do this with you guys. Is I knew both of you had an open mind. Where some people who have their 80s and only and 70s only, they're
Right.
like, no, everything today sucks. Everything today sucks. And look, 13 songs, you might say 12 of them suck and one of them's a perfect 10, but I knew you'd have that open mind. And that's why I was really curious to have you hear this. Not
Thank
because
you.
I thought there was going to be 13 songs where you're like 10, 10, 9, 8, 10, 10, 9. I didn't think that at all. So I was really
Okay.
curious about that. So, all
Okay.
right. So with that
So
in mind, do we want to jump in and start talking about the album?
No, let's cancel the show.
Okay, sounds good. So, all right, bye, Vin. Oh, man. All right, so let's start with the first song, The End. And Vin, I'm going to let you go first here. The End starts the album.
Um, so I was wondering, I was debating whether I make a blanket statement about the record without my ratings yet, just of my
Go right
overall.
ahead.
Am I allowed to say that?
You can do
Okay,
anything
so
you want.
when I listened to this album, it sounded very familiar to me of the era of its music. It wasn't like I heard the music and said, "Oh, this sounds different to me. I haven't heard this before."
Mhm.
I said to myself, "I've heard this before, but if you would ask me which band this was, it could have been one of 10
Right, you wouldn't have known.
at this time. I didn't know." So that's number one. So it wasn't
Okay.
like when I heard this, it was like, "Oh, I never heard this style of music." It had a
Right.
very familiar,
Well, like I said, you play I'm Not Okay in one of your bands. So
true.
it's not,
But I think it's a songwriting thing. You kind of can predict where it's going to go. Although in a couple of these songs, it didn't happen.
Mhm.
That being said, we'll start off with the top song, "The End." I gave a 5.5 rating. I like some of the chord changes in it. I did right off the bat start saying, "Okay, all right, I hear what chords are doing. Oh, all right, yeah, they're throwing in the Beatle chord there. Nice job. You know what I mean? Give you some credit, you know." But yeah, so I thought it was again, we always say 5 is average.
Yeah, I'm glad you're bringing that up. So let me pause you there. For
Yeah.
anybody watching for the first time, we grade 0 to 10. 10 is perfect. Anything 7 or higher is what we consider an upper echelon song. 5 is in the middle, so 5 is average. Not every song is a 10 out of 10 in the world. I don't care what band you like, what band you listen to. So that's the way we go, 5 being average. So Vin, you went with a 5.5, and are you keeping the scores in the spreadsheet for us, Vin? A little insulted, I know.
The formula's right.
Yes, okay, very good.
Let
All
me
right.
check that. Let me check that.
you
again.
know
Okay,
he
yeah.
is.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
All right. So 5.5 for Vincent. So go ahead, Mario.
Okay. Well,
This is the 10. Oh,
the
sorry.
album the album begins with The End, so already I'm interested.
Mhm.
It's an interesting way to start the record. I like the guitar work. the vocals, the harmonies, the arrangements I thought were, top notch. Um, I went 6.2 for this one. I
Wow.
thought
Okay.
it really it grabbed me in. It really
Mm,
did. It's a very good opener, even though
yeah.
it's called The End.
Yeah. So, I mean, I should say the reason it's called The End is it's supposed to be a concept album about somebody dying of cancer. And
Yes.
this is the end of his life. So, even though it's the
Right.
beginning of this album, it's the end
Right.
of his life.
Right.
I'm surprised neither one of you brought this, what I'm about to say, up. And maybe I hear it differently than you guys do. But to me, this song is. I don't want to say a blatant ripoff because that's not fair, but it's certainly stylistically very similar to the way Pink Floyd starts the Wall album with their song In the Flesh. And to me, every time I hear this, I hear In the Flesh. It's and Vin, maybe you could tell me it's even sounds like some of the same chord patterns to me. The melody at times is a little bit the same. When I've always heard them kind of drawn off the Pink Floyd influence, the second this album started, I'm like, oh yeah, well there it is. They started their album the same way the Wall started. You neither of you guys picked that, I guess, up, huh?
I didn't. I mean, I don't
No.
have that in my notes.
No,
No.
And then
interesting.
now
No.
maybe you say it. Maybe now. But
Yeah,
usually they're pretty good at picking that thing, and you're probably right.
yeah. To me, but saying that, I love the song. So to me, I think Mario, like you said, it's a strong opener on the album. I actually give it
Yeah.
a 7.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
You're
right.
allowed.
Very good.
All
Your
righty.
love affair
So
with this record.
well, but you're going to see how I'm honest about this album.
Uh,
Okay, you're going to
uh,
see. All right.
okay.
So next up is, I'll say, the first faster hard rock song on it. It takes a little bit of
Right.
a turn here. This is where I thought Mario for the first time would be like, "Whoa, what did Mike do to me?" But Mario, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. You tell me. Dead. Now
Dead.
that's it.
My
It's the end. Now he's dead.
Now
So
he's dead.
now he's
My
dead.
my delicate McCartney ears listening to this.
I love that. I love that.
But I gotta tell you, the lead guitar in this song is exceptionally good. Very passionate, very theatrical. Um, Kind of reminds me of Dream Theater a little bit. I don't know if
Interesting.
something like that.
Yeah.
But this was an even six for me.
Wow. Okay. So far, you're being more generous than I actually expected that you would be, Mario. So we'll see.
You expected an open mind, so
Yes, I did. Yes. All right.
I listened to it 9 or 10 times.
Wow.
Oh,
Impressive. Very impressive. Thank you.
10 times thanks to Vinny.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that we should say we were going to record this 3 months ago, but Vincent every week was like, "No, I'm sorry. I'm busy. I'm busy.
A
I'm
little bit of
busy."
exaggeration. A little bit of
All right, a
exaggeration.
little bit.
A
A
little bit.
little bit.
A
I'm going to let it
little bit.
slide, though. I'm going to let
Yeah,
it
a
slide. You
little
wanted to
bit.
properly do some homework, so I appreciate
Yeah.
that. So, all right, go ahead, my friend Vincent. Dead.
I don't have any particular notes on this one, but just in listening to it, I gave it a 5.4.
Okay.
There wasn't anything else that struck me. This was a song where I was like, oh yeah, I know this.
Yeah, I can
I know
understand
this
that.
sound. I know this sound. Maybe
Yes.
in doing one of those songs, it kind of like there's just something about the guitar sound was just sounded very familiar to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so 5.5, 5.4. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, and look, I'll agree with you in the sense that to me, taking the end out of the equation for a moment, the album starts with as much as I said they were trying to do a different album, the first few songs start with a very traditional early 2000s hard rock type sound and band. So I'm not surprised to hear you say that, Vin. Saying that, one of the things I love about this song is in the middle there's like a little breakdown section and they have some horns playing in there, and it's like it certainly doesn't have a feel of Aerosmith at all, but it makes me think of Aerosmith with their horns in the 80s. But this is honestly probably one of my favorite songs on the album, so I'm going pretty high on this one. I'm going with an 8.5.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
So all
Very
right.
good.
Extra barbecue sauce on that one.
Extra barbecue sauce for me. Yes, this is one that when I go see them next month, and they do, I'll be thoroughly thrilled when they play this one. It's one of my favorites.
Just don't choke on a pretzel when you
I won't choke in a pretzel. Don't you worry. So, all right, Vin, I'll let you go first on this one. How I Disappear.
Yeah, so this is it got improved. The record starts improving here from my ears,
Mhm.
and the reason is there was an interesting transition into the chorus and into the guitar solo that kind of caught me off guard. I was like, all right, that was clever, and I like hearing things like that. And the thing about this record, without me giving away, there's nothing that's like not catchy on this record or anything like that. there's no fucking, oops, sorry, my language. Oh, I'm allowed to curse.
Yeah.
There's no Gene, shit witches on this, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Hey, Gene, I'm so sorry I pick on you. So sorry.
Truth is truth, right?
Some of those 80s songs, come on, Gene. Anyways, so yeah, 6.4 I give on this one.
Okay.
Okay.
Mario?
Well, I always pour over lyrics a lot, and the desperation in the lyric really caught me. It's convincing. I mean, the pain throughout this record is
Hmm.
is is really, the way they portray it is just they do a great job. They know what they're doing. I thought this one was good. I don't think it's as high as some of the other ones. I went with a 5.9.
Okay. Yeah. So, I tend to agree with Mario, what you're saying. I don't think the song's as good as some of the other ones on the record. Vin, I agree with you how the verses into the chorus is a bit of the unusual. The
Mm.
problem for me is I don't really love the choruses a whole lot on this song.
Oh,
Sorry, the verses. I
The
love the
verses.
chorus. I
Yeah.
don't really love the verses on this. So I kind of go back and forth. It's one of my favorite choruses on the album and one of my least favorite verses on the album. So where do I land? That's where I ended up just going with a 6 on this because it's like, I love those choruses, but the verses are just average to me. So just a smidge above you, Mario. I'm going to go with a
Okay.
6.
Okay.
All
look at
right.
that. One song I gave a higher rating than
I
both of
told you I'm going
you.
to be fair. I told you.
Yeah.
And I have a love fest with some of this, but some of the songs are like, don't
Yeah.
like them as much. So the sharpest lives. Vin, why don't you go first on this one?
Yeah, I mean, again, this wasn't, there's a couple of songs on this record where I'm just like,
Mhm.
good enough song. Understand why I made the album, but it's just a bit above average for me. And again, this is not my favorite style. I'll fully admit,
Yeah,
this is not my favorite style of artist, and just
yeah.
certain things. But again, I think it has an interesting middle part. I thought was kind of cool.
Mhm.
But that being said, I gave it a 5.2 on this one.
Okay, I can understand that. Mario, it's another
Uh,
one I figured would make your hair stand up.
yeah, this didn't click with me
Yeah.
initially. It grew on me kind of, but I like what Vinny likes, the start and stop arrangement.
Mhm.
It's makes the song a little bit more palatable, a little bit more exciting to me. But ultimately 5.5.
Yeah. So I'm going to say overall, I agree with both of you guys. Again, this is for me not one of my favorites on the album. In fact, as I look through my ratings, it might be one of my least favorites on the album. Um, the verse against me is just okay. The chorus is better, but this, if I was removing one song from the album, it would be between this and one other one that'll come up a little bit later. Although my son especially thinks I'm nuts. It's one of his favorite songs, and I know it's a fan
Mm.
favorite as well. But this song just it's just okay to me. So I'm going to go
Okay.
to 5.3 on this.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So
hey,
you see, Vin, when you said Love Fest, and I said I'm going to be honest.
this is this is the magic of music,
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed,
you
indeed.
know?
So, all right, then let's go to the basically what I'll call the title track on the album, Welcome to the Black Parade. Mario, I'll let you go first.
Okay, well, 5 songs into this record, and we finally get welcomed to the Black Parade.
That's right.
But I'm a sucker for piano intros.
Mhm.
To ask Vinny every time we're writing something, I say, a little piano, that would be great. Um,
Don't you know
this
Elton John? Can't you get me here? Sorry, Mario. Sorry, Mario. You only got me.
That's
Okay.
great.
yeah, listen, he plays every instrument he happens to bump into. He's
That is true.
unbelievable. He's unbelievable. To
Yes.
wite with this man is just incredible.
Last
Yes.
time I
But
was playing his glasses, I said, Mario, give me those glasses.
Oh, that's great.
but
Sorry.
I like this song. I like the song a lot. 6.8 for me.
Wow. Okay, I'm impressed, Mario. Vincent?
So my notes have it's got an interesting intro, tempo, I like that. I like the bells. They got some bells in there
Mhm.
that I thought were,
And you're not
and
talking
then
bell bottoms.
no, 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 no. And then and I guess if there's a part, and I'm trying to remember the song when it all
Mhm.
comes in, then it loses me a
Yep.
bit,
Okay.
and I'm just like, oh, couldn't they just leave well enough alone the way it was going.
Right. Uh-huh.
It's like it kind of went into that thing of this era of music, which is like
I can understand
I
that.
felt like again, I understand why they're doing it. They're And the funny thing is, I had to be honest when I listened to the record, and I was kind of critical of these ratings. But I said to myself on a bunch of these, well, what if I wrote this?
Right.
Would I still be giving it a 5.2? I'm not saying that's what I give it.
Mhm.
So I tried to really disconnect that,
Right.
and then you tell me how this band, Rolling Stone says this,
But
and
just
Crank
because
says
Rolling
that,
Stone says and
but,
Crank says
well,
doesn't mean you have to like, which is why I
well,
said
yeah,
even the most popular albums, 99.5% of people don't know
let's
it.
and let's and let's and let's face fact, Rolling Stone is partially responsible for leaving a lot of people out of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because somebody
Agreed.
who
Correct.
so
Agreed.
again, all
I
right,
use those only as
so
points of reference, not to say that you
don't
or
ever
anybody
do it
else should.
again.
My apologies.
So did I give my rating?
No, I
I
don't think
gave
you have.
this a 5.6 though.
Okay. And Mario, what did you give it? Six
Six
point.
6.8.
6.8.
Yeah. So you're right there, right on the edge of an upper echelon song. So I haven't absolutely loved this song. What you guys obviously don't know, having not been really introduced to this album until I told you guys, this is basically their quote unquote landmark song, right? This is when they started in concert and you hear that first ding, ding, instantly the crowd goes nuts. A lot of people of the younger generation, and I'm not saying that these are my words, I'm just sharing what the younger generation compares it to. This song to them is what like a song like Bohemian Rhapsody was for us. Okay. I've seen that comparison a lot. Okay.
Okay.
When I've seen like list of songs from like the last 20 years, and most popular, most, best songs, if you will, this song is frequently near the top of those lists, like top 50 or whatever. And I tend to agree. I absolutely love, love, love this song. Vin, I know what you're saying when it goes into like the harder, faster part. You're like, oh, this again. I love that whole back and forth between the piano intro and the hard part, and it kind of I love the guitar playing. There's a video out there of them doing this song probably like 15 years ago with Brian May from Queen. So it's funny how there's that Queen
Wow.
comparison. And what I love about it is Brian May's up on stage with them. And sometimes when there's like guest guitarists up on stage, their guitar's probably not even plugged in or it's tuned and they're just sitting there strumming and you could see him playing all the different chords. He's like, he really knew the song.
Wow.
Not that means anything, but it's just a
No.
fun video for me to watch. I
Yeah.
absolutely love, 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 love this song. It's a 10 for me.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all righty. I don't love you. Go ahead, Vin. I don't love you.
Thanks.
I couldn't say that
That's
to Mario. I had to
all
say it
these
to you. I had to say it to you. I couldn't
That's
say it to
all
Mario.
these
I
years.
don't love you. I don't like you. I don't even want to be
Yeah.
hearing your opinions anymore.
The chemist
God.
has been shamed.
That's right.
Yeah, this one, I thought again, I thought this was, I gave, This Is How I Disappear 6.4. That was the first time I entered into six. I gave this also a 6.
Mhm.
Again, talking what you were saying about, and I didn't know any of this. There's a middle section that clearly is a Fender Rhodes piano, which I was like, all right,
Mhm.
that was a nice little chorus in
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
So I like that element of it, and yeah, so I give this a solid 6.
Okay.
All right.
Nice. Go ahead, Super M.
This is my 10.
Okay. This is one of my two. I wasn't sure. Okay. This is your 10. Go ahead.
This I love this song.
Hmm.
This made my playlist. Everything about this song is great. The phrasing, and especially when he goes, "I don't love you like yesterday."
Mhm.
Yesterday, that's my gateway drug.
Mhm.
Yesterday. I
Mhm.
just absolutely, this is the first song that had a melody that didn't make me want to jump off a cliff.
It's a good quote.
That's a
Good
great
quote.
quote. I might use that as like the banner. This is the first melody that didn't make me want to jump off a cliff.
Everything about this, the vocal, the lyric. Oh God. This is the only 10. I just thought this song was
So
tremendous.
I was wrong. Then I'll just state that that's not the
Yeah.
one I thought you were going to pick.
What
Okay.
did you have, Vin, out of curiosity?
Which
Which one did you have him
which-
as a 10?
Oh, can I say because it's coming up in the next?
Yeah,
bunch of
he
songs.
won't. I mean, it's obviously not going to be a 10 for him, but
No.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Cancer.
okay. Yeah, I had either this one or the end. I wasn't sure if the Pink Floyd comparison was something that, and I wasn't sure where you were with Pink Floyd, Mario. So, but I figured it had to be one of the quote unquote
Yeah.
slower songs that was going
Right.
to be a 10. There was no way you were going to be like, gee, yeah, How I Disappear is my 10. I would have been like, what? What the hell happened here? So, all right, this is your 10.
This
And
is great song.
Yeah, look, I agree with you, Mary. I think it's a great song. I don't quite go to a 10,
Okay.
although I think it is a absolutely great song. So I went with a 9 on this one. It's, right up there to me. It's I agree with everything you said. I love the melody of the song, the sound of the song, just the emotion of the song, and
All
this.
true.
Yeah, the story behind it, from what I've read in the past, is that, as we said, this is somebody who's dying of cancer,
Mhm.
and he's trying to get his significant other to not be sorry about him dying, and trying to make her, if you will, fall out of love with him by him telling her, I don't love you like I did yesterday, so that this way she's not hurting as much when he passes. That's supposed to be what the lyric meant, based on what I've read in the past.
Now, if you watch the way I listen to the record is
Hmm.
I went to YouTube, and if they have an official video for the
They do.
song,
Yes.
they play it. This song has an official video,
Yep.
and what you just said ties right into that.
I haven't
Now,
seen the video in years, so I'll have to go back and watch that.
oh, tremendous,
Hmm.
absolutely tremendous.
Excellent.
Okay.
Well, that just even of itself makes it worthwhile to me, because, like I said, when I picked this record, I was like, and I knew of songs like Sharpest Lives and How I Disappear. I knew that was not going to be in your wheelhouse, but I was curious some of these other ones, how you'd connect. And I never in my wildest dreams thought that you'd have a 10. So
There you go.
I'm happy about that. So, all
Me
right.
too.
So now we'll go to the next one with Mario, where I knew you definitely would not be a 10 on this one, or probably anywhere as close. House of Wolves. Go ahead, Mario. Now take us to the other extreme.
Um, Album filler kind of thing. It's a good rocker. It's just a 5.
Yeah. Yep.
Nothing really special happening here. Just my opinion.
Yep. Vin?
Yeah, I mean, I have my comments didn't really do much for me. However, I still give it a 5.2. So again, as I said, I don't think it's really a bad song on the record,
Yep.
but it didn't really move me. But there's still something about it that makes it quality. That's the best that's on most of these songs. And
Yeah.
and I just think that, especially if you're a fan of this style or genre of music,
Hmm.
um, you know. So yeah.
Yeah.
So you said
So,
five, Super M, right?
Sorry?
You said a five, right?
Yeah, 5 even. Yeah.
All right, yeah.
and you said a 5.2, right, Vin?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm with both of you guys. This is probably the throwaway song on the record for me. Again, my son hates when I say that. He loves this one. I know it's a fan favorite. They do it in concert, I think, almost every single time I've seen them. Ah, it's okay. It's
Okay.
okay. It's the closest thing to me on for album filler on this album that there is. I'm going to go with you, Vin. A 5.2 on this. It's
All
nothing
right.
overly special about that song to me. If it was dropped from the album, personally, I wouldn't miss it. That's
Mm.
just me. So, all right, Vin. I'll let you go next then on Cancer.
Yeah. So again, this was the one I thought Mario was going to choose because I felt knowing, his what he hears in his ears is kind of what I hear in my ears.
Mhm.
To me, this was the best song on the record. I think one of the things too is like I'm not a huge fan overall of I don't even know the singer's name.
Broadway.
I'm yeah. However, this was the first song that kind of convinced me as a vocalist
Hmm.
because he sounded much more vulnerable. That's the best way I could say it. And obviously, with the title and what the album's about. So this is like the first song that really like kind of moved me, and I just loved the arrangement. And it didn't go into that infamous thing. I was like,
Yeah.
please do not,
Right.
please. I was like, please. And when I saw the length of the song, because I think it's under 3 minutes. This
Yeah,
one,
it's a
right?
shorter song. Yeah.
Right. So I was like, all right, we're gonna make it to the finish line. We're there, right? But I gave it a 7. This one.
Okay.
I think this is the
Okay.
the strongest song on the album.
Nice. Go ahead,
Okay.
Mario.
Yeah, I like the song. It's a very, very tough song.
Hmm.
It's especially if you did lose someone, to
Mhm.
cancer. As Vin lost his dad, I lost my mom. Um, but the lyrics are very hard, and the music is beautiful though. So it is an 8-1 for me.
Nice. And
Not
I'm
an
glad.
8, an 8
An
1.
8-1. I like that. I like that. I'm actually glad you guys both brought up the lyric and the impact it could have on people, because quite honestly, I was concerned picking the record knowing that you both lost somebody to cancer. And I was like, am I being insensitive by picking something like this? And
Not at all.
okay, so because that was a thought that crossed my mind actually. I happen to love the lyric in this. The hardest part is leaving you. I just said to me is exactly what you guys are saying. Is that the lyric resonates. Vin, I'm not surprised to hear you say something about his voice. That was one of the things I wondered about when I chose the record. If this would be like a, gee, a Johnny Rotten type thing. Like, no, I don't like
No,
that
not that
voice.
extreme. No, no, no.
So I was wondering that. But yeah, I love this song. I'm close to you, Mary. I go with an 8.5 on this one.
Okay.
And I think
Yeah.
this is a song over time that I would rate higher. I mean,
Mhm.
full disclosure, I didn't give it 10 listens like Super Mario
Right.
gave
I
this
knew you
record,
didn't. Yep.
but I think over time, certainly, some of these numbers would be,
Yep.
0.5, probably more,
Yeah. Yeah.
so.
The ironic thing is now I've seen the band, like I said, somewhere between 7 and 10 times in concert. There's been a few times I saw them that they actually closed their show with this song.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think is like such a great way to close it. It's like very emotional, whatever. But you would think like a band with so many hard rock songs like that wouldn't be closing a show like this, but they have actually. So
Right,
they fully embrace the emotion of the song, I guess.
Mm.
So
they're interesting. I mean, I gotta say, the one thread throughout this entire thing is that this
mhm.
band is not boring. They're very
Right.
interesting band.
Right.
Very
Yep.
interesting.
Yep. So then that brings us to the next song, which may be, in my opinion, one of the most interesting songs on the album. Doesn't mean you're going to like it or not. Mama. Go ahead, Mary. I'll let you go first.
It's just okay.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Don't be
This,
sorry.
no, this one really just didn't do it for me.
Mhm.
So
Is it a 3?
no, I won't go below 5.
No, you
I
could go, you,
I
you could go to a
I
0.
know.
I don't care.
No, I think
Don't be too polite.
Just
no, but
remember,
they're too
5 is
good.
average.
5 is average.
You
Yes.
got to be honest. You got to be
No,
honest. He's scared. He's a scared.
He's
Right through the hat.
scared.
Right through the hat. Right through the hat.
It's just it's just a difficult song to like, all right, here it comes, what the whole album is about.
Mhm.
And they have so many higher points on the record that this one just kind of was deflating to me. So,
Mhm.
but they're too talented to go below 5, so it's just a 5.
Okay, interesting. Go ahead, Vin. Mama.
Okay, so this is one of the songs that suffered. I love the whole intro and the feel and that whole thing.
Mhm.
And even the melody reminded me of that Doors. Da, 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 da. What's that? Whiskey bar. That's why.
Okay.
Oh, no,
Mhm.
no. That song, Mario?
Alabama song, the
No, no, no.
whiskey bar.
I don't know. I'm losing about 10 people right off the bat with that one.
Mhm.
I kind of wish. So my comment was, it starts with an interesting feel I like, and then falls into a trap. And I felt like it just went into that thing that I was just, again, glad it didn't happen with Cancer, but it happened in this song. And I felt like if it would have stayed within that and then maybe done another interesting change, I gave it a 6. I think that this could have potentially been another 7 for me. But since it kind of went into this other thing that, it kind of lost me. I just thought it was like it didn't need that at that point. You've already made that sound so many times on the record. Like you came up with this really cool, unexpected melody, even the way he sang it. I'm like hopping around like this. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh come on, for me. But
Right,
so I give it a 6.
Right. So what's interesting is, again, thinking back to some of the stories I read years ago, supposedly when they were writing the album, they felt like they were coming up with a lot of quote unquote great riffs for it, whether you agree or not, but that was their opinion, right? And somebody challenged the lead guitarist, I bet you can't write a song that sounds like a polka. So he's like, "Oh yeah, really?" And that's how they created this song. I happen to. So it's funny, if we did this 10 years ago, Mario, to your point, this might have been my least favorite song on the record. And then probably somewhere 10 years ago, something just clicked. I don't know what. And it instantly became one of my favorite songs on the record. I don't know if it was just seeing them do it in concert, because it's always a concert staple of theirs. And it's got a lot of energy in concert. There's something just clicked. Liza Minnelli is the one doing the female vocal in this. She fully embraced doing it and really loved it. I actually end up going with an 8.5 on this now, but it's interesting because 10 years ago, Mary, I might have been with you at a 5.
Wow.
Yeah, but
maybe seeing it in concert did jar it a little bit.
It could, sometimes live music could have that impact on you.
Yeah.
And I know the second time I saw them and they were doing this song, I was like, oh, any other song but this. Really? Come on. And now I'm like, all right, I can't wait for them to do Mama. Can't wait. I love that song live. It's just got such an energy to it. So it's funny how my opinion has completely changed in the last 10 years. So 8.5 for me for the
That's
polka
good.
song.
All
Yeah,
right.
so all right. Vin, sleep. Did this song put you to sleep?
I put my comment on it was cinnamon. You know why cinnamon?
No. Oh, saying
Steam,
Sims.
cinnamon, sandpipe.
Okay,
Yeah, again, I gave it a 5.3 though. It just
mhm,
it had that thing that they do and they do well.
mhm.
But it just kind of reminded me of other things I've heard on the record, and just again, I don't think it's a bad song, so I give it a
Yeah,
5.3.
fair enough.
Okay.
Super M.
My notes say the soaring guitars really did it for me. I like it. It kind of reminded me of like almost like a Boston thing. So I went with
With
a
the Hammond organ or without the Hammond organ?
without the Hammond organ. These
Uh,
no, these guys don't mess with that. So,
no.
but I went 6.9 on this one.
Wow. Wow. Okay,
Yeah,
Mario.
I do like the guitar work.
Yeah, I'm very surprised, Mario, with some of your ratings. And actually, I am lockstep with Mario on this. I actually go with a 6.9 on this. It's a song I like. It falls, something just falls short of it being an upper echelon song to me. But it's still a well-written song to me. For me, Vin, I don't necessarily agree that it feels like the same Cinnamon Sandpipe in the sense that I hear a song like Sleep, and to me, it doesn't sound like Sharpest Lives or How I Disappear. I feel like it is different, and that's one of the things I like about, especially as we transition to the second half of the album, is it does have a different sound than some of those earlier songs on the album. Whether you like it or not, again, is personal taste, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with a 6.9.
Okay.
All right. Something that none of the three of us are and haven't been for decades, teenagers.
Mm.
Go ahead, Mario. I'll let you go first here.
Well, in the darkness and the bleakness of this record, this one actually was kind of funny. It had a little bit of a sense of humor, behind it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a cool song, cool lyrics. 6.7 for me.
6.7. All right. Go ahead, Mr. LaRussa.
Yeah, I was happy to hear a guitar solo. That was nice to hear. It's like, wow, that's cool. The guitar solo on here.
Uh-huh.
There's actually something in there that reminded me of the Cars. There's definite. They had a chord or they did something,
Hmm.
and it was. I mean, to me, it was the direct. Something they took it from the
Okay,
Cars.
yeah, I've never heard
I'm
that,
not
but I
saying
can't.
ripping off.
Yeah, I
I
can't
would have to have
disagree.
to. That being said, I gave it a 5.6.
Okay, it's funny. This is the song. I happen to like this song as well on the album, but this is the song that the quote unquote diehard fans, especially like
Doesn't
my
it go
young.
at some point? I know that doesn't get much of a hint.
Yeah, that's a really help. Sorry.
You know that what's that car song?
Just what I needed.
You know that?
I mean, yeah. So the song starts like that, yes, but I don't know what car song you're talking about.
They all start like that.
You're all I've got tonight. You're all I've
You're
You're
all I
all
got
I've
tonight.
got
All right,
tonight.
interesting.
You know that? You know,
Okay,
Mario?
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I never made that connection before, but I can't dispute what you're saying there.
Okay. See, I did listen.
Yeah,
Very
I
good.
can't dispute it. But yeah, the younger generation, this is the song they all love to hate on the album. They all feel, and that's probably because they were teenagers, and whereas you, Mario, like you said, we get the joke. They probably didn't get the joke as much as my guess. They fall back on the fact that this song doesn't fit into the theme of the guy dying of cancer and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I don't get hung up on those kind of things. I think it's a catchy song.
Yeah.
It's not a 10 like I did for the Black Parade, but I think it's a catchy song. I go with a 7.2 on this.
It's the get off my grass generation.
Yes.
It's like these guys just aged 40 years to write this song and then they go back to being younger, I guess. But
That is definitely true.
it was good. I liked,
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. All right. Disenchanted. Go ahead, Mario.
well, I'm a sucker for acoustic intros. Ask
Hmm.
Vinny. Vinny, can we do an acoustic intro on this song?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Again.
Again. Mix it differently. That's all.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all. I like this one. I went 6.9 for this.
Okay.
I thought
Nice.
it was good. These are like well thought out, fully realized ideas. I give them
Hmm.
a lot of credit for this. I still can't believe I'm listening to a record that's 20 years old.
That's so I
You
picked a
know,
quote unquote new album for us, and it's 20 years old. Right?
Mm.
this is brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah, brand new for you, but it's been
Brand
out for
new.
2 decades, right? So go figure, right? Go ahead, Vin. Disenchanted.
Yeah, I gave this. I same as Mary said. It was nice to hear it acoustic for like the first time.
Hmm.
Then I wrote. Then that 2000 thing comes in, and I was like, again, you know what I mean? And they did something in there with the little chord. They do like what I call a chord trick in there that I thought was cool.
Okay.
Again, I heard, and I don't remember what song it was, but there was definitely ELO elements on this record.
Yeah.
Definitely some chord changes were borrowed from ELO and or the Beatles, of course, because ELO was heavily influenced by the
Hmm.
Beatles. Jeff Lynne was, but again, 5.5 for this one for me.
Okay. And you mentioned the Beatles influence, and to me, I've never musically heard it, but perhaps it's there and I just don't hear it.
It's a
But
one chord thing that happens, and they
okay,
do it about 3 times on the record. It's
interesting.
like a transition chord. It's
Right.
what they
Right.
call it. You
And look,
know?
I can't rule it out because I remember sending, I think I sent it to both of you, but Mary, I definitely sent it to you. They dressed up on tour for this in black outfits that were very reminiscent of the Beatles' Sergeant Pepper outfits, only instead of it being all colors, they did the whole black version. So that was their little tip of the cap to the
Yes.
Beatles on this. And could there be certainly some chord progressions in here that are influenced by the Beatles? I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest bit because they were again given a tip to the hat to the
Mm.
Beatles just with the way they were dressing for the record. So
Yeah.
When you sent me that picture, I went running to the computer to find this album. I said, "All
all
right,
right,
okay."
and then you heard the first chord, you're like,
He
whoa,
te
okay, that doesn't sound like the Beatles.
he teased me. He gave me another gateway drug.
That's right. That's right. But this Disenchant is the song I happen to really like on this album also. I don't mind that, I love the acoustic beginning, like you guys both said. I don't mind that it falls into some of those early 2000 trappings, if you will, and sounding like that. I happen to like that. I love the chorus on this, that sad song with nothing to say. I love the lyrics. I'm gonna go with an 8 on this one. I
Okay,
really like this one.
okay.
All righty. So now, what is the last song on the album? Basically, famous last words. Go ahead, Vincent. I'll let you go first. I'll let you have the famous
Okay.
last words of this song.
Yeah. So I love. I wrote this is a cool middle solo that has strings in there, and as a follow up to what I've said, these are not bad songs. They just really don't resonate with me. And what it really made me feel is like, am I fucking old? Like I remember very, very vividly sitting at my uncle's house, my 2 cousins, we were all, and I was not in the Guns N' Roses camp right away. I was
Yep.
when you first started playing the record, I'm like, oh, he's gonna fucking torture me with this record now.
Yep.
I got through the Sex Pistols. I got through whatever the other friggin' when you going through that punk rock phase.
Yep.
Although the Ramones never bothered me. There was that other band you listened to at the time.
Well, I was listening to the Sex Pistols a lot, and you couldn't.
Yeah, but
You
there was
hated
another
them.
one. Was it? Yeah, there was
I don't
another one
remember.
that I
I
thought that,
know I went through
or maybe it was
Generation
just,
X
or
for a
maybe
while.
I think maybe yeah, but I don't remember them being as bad. But
Yeah.
then knowing you, like I have to have every bootleg of every
Yes.
Sex Pistols that was available, and
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
just
I
oh
was
my
listening
god,
to Sid Vicious solo stuff for a
right that
while.
yeah, yes,
Okay.
oh god,
Sid
oh
Lives. I think you couldn't stand that album when I would listen to
oh
that.
god, God. I just used to wish that his feeling fan would come down and knock me out and just unconscious for the rest of the night.
Yes.
Just um,
So you
but
didn't like it, huh?
yeah, but my point being, I remember my uncle and Manny, my dad. Oh, this Guns N' Roses, they're terrible. Like, oh my god, and we're like, what are you guys crazy? Yeah, great. And we were actually watching that Rich concert with Great Wide Open, the
Yep.
infamous one.
The
Yeah.
88 one. Mhm.
And so I started thinking, is this just a product of me being, out of touch with the younger generation? And for a record now that is 20 years old, so
Mhm.
I don't know. I like certainly a lot of different styles of music.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see the final average of the song, it's going to beat albums probably like, The Elder or something like that, just right off the
Mhm.
top of my head.
Right.
So it's kind of funny, just because some of those records got threes and twos, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Mhm.
So I gave this a 5.3 as my last rating. So really, I think the lowest rating I gave on any song on this record was a 5.2. So I never went at below average.
Wow.
So I think that kind of surprised me. If you look at the grid, maybe you wouldn't think this is someone I would like. However, I didn't really score it poorly.
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think.
No, no, no. Look, we always say 5 is average. So every song on this
Average meaning
album,
good.
Right, of course.
Average meaning good, not average like
No, no. Below
it's
five is
good.
when we start to get into what we call the shit sandwiches a little
Yeah,
bit, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
Some have mayo, some have mustard.
exactly,
You know,
exactly. Yep, exactly. So, all right, Mario, where do you stand on final famous last words?
This is kind of reminiscent of leaving a movie theater and the credits are rolling,
Hmm.
and no one pays too much attention to that last song. But
Okay.
I thought it was decent. I thought, it's the perfect. Obviously, this is a concept album. Maybe
Hmm.
it is very, very theatrical. So 5-7
Okay.
for something like this.
Okay.
I thought it put the exclamation point at the end of the album.
it definitely was a good out way to out end. I think the album ended
Yeah,
strong. I
Right.
thought it wasn't
yeah.
like, oh my god, they threw this on at the end because they had to fill 13 tracks.
Right. Right.
I didn't feel like that at all.
So it's interesting, and it's kind of a little sad to me to hear your comments because I'll leave with my score. This is another perfect 10 to me. I love this
Oh,
song.
yeah,
This
great.
is yes, this is potentially my favorite song. I know I have two tens on this album, but this is the one that's probably I love the chorus. I just something about this song just for 20 years has resonated with me. If I was going to see them in concert and they were doing one song, this is probably the one I would choose. So for whatever reason.
Nice.
So when I hear you guys saying, "Well, it's good," but I'm like, they didn't love it the way I do, which is totally cool. There's just nothing wrong with that. But yeah,
You're
this
not
is
invited in my pool ever again.
that's right. That's right. But for me, I'll just talk about the album as a whole for a moment now.
Yeah.
I I know I said at the top they tried to do something a little bit different than what they've done in the past, and that's why I don't love the sequencing on the record in the sense that the first few songs, "How I Disappear," "Sharpest Lives," is very similar to me stylistically to what they've done on their previous album, and I happen to love especially the second half of this album. And I know you guys had mixed feelings on some of the songs, but "Cancer," "Mama," "Sleep," "Disenchanted," "Famous Last Words," and of course the Black Parade. That sequence of songs to me is right up there with any other album for me. Really like, and
Nice.
I know I give them a lot of those songs eight and a halves and a couple of tens in there. It's that beginning part. There's some of the harder, heavier songs I'm just like, that they're just mediocre. But yeah, famous last words. They've said that this is based off of a Judas Priest song. Anybody who happens to like Judas Priest and likes My Chemical Romance, if you hear it, you tell me. I don't hear that at all, but that's what they say. So I'm just gonna
Okay.
mention it, but I don't hear that at all.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Vin. Were you gonna say something?
I was going to say something, but my old man brain is like, it goes in and out. There was something else I was going to comment, but keep going. I'll
Okay.
remember what it
No.
was.
So, I mean, look, that to me really wraps up the album. If you paid attention, there's a little quote unquote hidden track about a minute or so after Famous Last Words ends. And it's like just a keyboard and him just doing like singing called Blood. And it's like,
Blood.
yeah, and it's like 30 seconds long.
Not
I don't,
bloody, not
not
bloody.
bloody. No, sorry, not bloody.
Not bloody.
I didn't even put a rating down for it because it's not a real song. But Mario,
No.
it sounds like you made it through in there and heard the hidden
I
track.
I made it through to the hidden track, and that would have tanked my ratings.
Yeah.
I was like, it's just them goofing around. It
Of
wasn't it.
course.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it wasn't anything to be taken seriously.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why to me I don't even have a rating for it. It's whatever,
Yeah.
30, 40 seconds long.
Yeah,
It's
it's very
not
short.
it's not a real song.
Now I remember what I was going to say.
Okay,
Okay.
hold on. Old man remembers what he was going to say. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Vincent.
So you started off saying about how you sent that video of the record after this.
Yes.
All right. So when I put that on, I'm like, now this is what I'm talking about.
That was
That
very
this,
good.
yeah. Then that immediately, I was saying, all right, this is more of what I like.
Yes.
This is more of what I
Yeah.
like.
So everybody who's watching and listening knows what you're talking about. Last night, on the heels of us recording this today, I sent you guys three little samples of songs from their follow-up album. And for anybody who's a My Chemical Romance fan, the songs I chose was Bulletproof Heart, Planetary Go, and Summertime. All melodic type songs, all with some harmony. Planetary Go actually has some dance elements to it, and song they actually released as a single, and there's a video for it. Very, very different than this. And I started off at the top of this saying, if I was trying to convert either of you to My Chemical Romance fan, that's the album I would have chosen because, especially Vin, like you just said, I figured there was some songs on that may be in your wheelhouse
Mm.
and don't have that early 2000s rock feel to it. The My Chemical Romance fans at the time hated the album, many of them, because it sounded so different. It was such a left-hand turn, right? What does he put? Get out? What are you saying?
I'm pointing to Frack by Fish.
Oh, okay. So, but I always loved the album, and I because I love pop music also, but it's very,
Yep.
very different.
Yeah.
Allow me to go on a rant. You know
Go
how I
right
go.
ahead.
I like to do a
Yes, you love to
small.
rant.
So let me just say this, okay? With all the ratings, and let me give the final ratings first before I go
Yes.
into my rant. And I know Mario will probably want to join in on
And,
this.
and
Maybe,
while
maybe
and while you're calculating those ratings, let me just say, so they
it's already
started their
calculated.
tour. They started their tour last week, and they were even after doing the whole album, they did do songs like "Planetary Go" in concert. So as much as they are
Mm,
departures, they are doing those songs in concert also. So
mm.
just
Yeah.
The algorithm sent me that review that they started their tour.
really okay.
So now
That
I'm
is
in.
fun.
I'm
You're
in.
in.
That's it.
Mario's converted. He's gonna start wearing the black eyeliner.
Oh God.
He's spray painting his Beatles clothes right now.
He's going to trade in his Todd Rundgren records.
That's right.
No, let's not panic.
Let's not get crazy here, Vin. Come on.
All right.
Let's not get crazy. All right, go ahead. Go on. First, tell us the scores, and you go on your rant.
Okay. With the number one top rating, 7.74.
That's obviously
Mr.
me.
Mike, yes. Mr. Super Mario with a 6.5, and Moi with 5.7. And
Okay.
again, for me, a 5.7, like I said, rates higher than I think a couple records we've reviewed.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Nice.
So before you go on your rant, let me ask you a
Mm,
question. Your rant might
yeah.
answer it. I don't know. But
Oh, it's not going to.
I start off saying that I chose this because I feel like Vin, you always say so much new music is
Well, maybe
predictable
we'll.
and
Maybe we'll.
and I felt like you mentioned that a few times that some of these songs fell into that predictability. But were there any elements of this record that you say, well, I didn't expect that from a quote unquote newer band?
Well, I wish I would have delved a little bit more than the like Mario did into the lyrical part of it. I am not a lyric first
Me neither.
listener.
Mhm.
I've never been. Mario is a great lyricist, and I could understand why he's really kind of honing in on that because that's what he does really well, and he's got a passion for it. I'm more of the other like, I want to write something lyrically that's good enough. Not to get by, but it's all about me, the music, and how catchy, and
Yep.
that thing. And I think that's why him and I work well together.
Yep.
But yeah, what was your question again?
So I start off saying that you've always said for decades a lot of
Yeah,
newer music is
yeah,
predictable, sounds cookie
yeah.
cutter,
Well,
derivative. Was there parts of this that you said, that was an interesting twist I didn't expect to hear from
yeah.
newer bands?
I did, and I think I did mention. One of the bands I was thinking about. Remember the Offspring,
Sure.
right?
Yeah,
Didn't they did a song like how to keep them separated,
absolutely.
and they did that other
On the
song.
Smash album,
Right.
I
And they
think
did
it
another
was.
song. Now, here's a guy who's not a great vocalist at
Right.
all.
Mhm.
Right. And they were a style of that genre that was like, I think, late 90s. Was that maybe like 97,
Yeah.
98?
Yeah, I
When
think it was.
that
Yeah.
style of band was,
Yep.
you could do that. And I was a fan of that stuff. I do like that.
Mhm.
But for certain reasons why. It might be just the aggression of the guitar. It might be the other thing is, I was listening to a lot of stuff, what the drummer was doing on this record. There was a lot of cool fills and stuff like that.
Yep.
The musicianship and stuff like that is, I wouldn't have given any song, above a 5. And then the musicianship or I mean, maybe that's not my favorite vocalist per se, but so yeah, I didn't know what to expect other than, yes, when I heard the songs, maybe based on the one song I covered, I knew what the kind of sound this band could produce.
Right.
But when there was a song like Mama or Cancer, or even with Disenchanted, where the acoustic comes in, it kind of caught me a little bit by surprise. And thankfully it did, because if it was all of that one thing, then I would have had a real problem with the record.
And their album before this is pretty much all just straightforward hard rock songs, one after the other.
Which kind of makes sense. Which kind of makes sense with this time frame. It was 2007, right?
This one was 2007. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I think I was saying. I remember a lot of bands of that time coming out with that kind of sound. I'm not saying they ripped off this or whatever. I'm just saying, So, okay, so I gave all the ratings. Did I give all the ratings? 5.
I think so.
Well, I'm 5.7. 5.7. So here's my problem.
Go ahead.
I'd like you guys to weigh in on this. Despite of what I say about this record, compared to today, this is like listening to the Mozart of our era. This is like listening to Led Zeppelin, because now you actually have AI music that's charting on Spotify. which I have a huge problem with. I watch from top to bottom how you could create a song using AI tools.
Yep.
You could do it through web browsers. You don't even have to have the software like I have with me and Super Mario. It's very debilitating to someone like myself. I'm not the best songwriter by far. I'm not the most talented by far. However, I've done it all on my own without the aid of a computer doing it for me. Other than, yeah, the computer facilitates. I started out on reel-to-reel tape and cutting tape and editing and doing all that stuff. And now when I use a computer for sequencing and recording, it's all either my voice, me playing the instrument, me playing the bass or the keyboard or whatever. Now I want to chord. You do even in the program I use, Logic Pro, Chat GPT's right, in it. In the notes, write me lyric that's based on whiskey and this, and it's the same country shit you've heard 7,000 times.
That's
okay,
right.
what chord changes? Okay, put that into the song.
Right.
And now, and I watch Rick Beato a lot. You're saying,
Yeah, he's
I think
good.
I think I don't know. I think some are stopping it, but like Spotify is allowing people who generate these AI songs, and I heard them,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounds good for what it is. You would not know.
Right.
You could have the artist look the art. They show you the picture of the guy who's singing it. It's a fake guy. It's
Fake.
all based. So you know how it works. It's all based on
Yep.
everything. It's been spoon fed into it, and it's just like for myself, I'm just thinking like, all right, I'm already with my back up against the wall of the odds of like. I remember when I did the Before the Storm thing. All right, 250,000 songs get uploaded to Spotify a day.
Yep.
How does your one song compete with that? Now you're competing with not only that, but
Right.
AI driven music. And it just really pisses me off. So my point being, no matter how critical I've become on any other record or even this, not that I was very critical, at least this is done and this is written, by the with the heart and mind, the soul, and it's shameful to me. It really is. I think AI is very, very dangerous. More so in other aspects of life. Certainly, music is supposed to be entertainment. This is not about saving, and it could be saving lives. AI could. I mean, I don't know anything about that. It could be wonderful for those type of things, or for research or for things. Listen,
Right.
I mean, when we were kids, who's got the Encyclopedia Britannica? You have it? Okay, how old is it? All right, this was published in 74. You think it's still current? We didn't have the internet and all this stuff. And even with YouTube and learning how to play a song or a solo or whatever it is, or singing, there's so much great information from YouTubers. That's why I love YouTube. But this AI thing, it just really, really turns me off to the whole music business. As much as I was already turned off, now it's to the extreme. I don't want people in my neighborhood who don't belong. That's the bottom line. I don't want, and no disrespect, I don't know if your son has a musical bone in his body, Mario, or both your sons. But if they don't, I don't want them to have the ability to tell a program to create a song and then they take credit for, I don't think it's right. I don't.
Look, Ben, I'll say I agree with you 1,000% over. I will say I've started to more recently use AI for things. I think I was telling you this, Ben. I have, and I'll keep this really short. I have photos from when I was a child that I've always wondered when were they taken. And AI, through different things I've done with it, has helped identify one of 10 days that this photo in 1979 was taken. Okay.
That's incredible.
And it really is. And there's lots of different reasons why, between, when it was, I was on vacation, what the weather was like, flowers in the picture, all different things, right? Weather, I went back and looked at the weather during the summer, day by day, and was able to zero down 1 to 10 days. I think that's freaking amazing, because I've stared at these pictures for decades wondering, when was this photo taken? And now I know it's 1 of 10 days. Yeah. So that's AI to me at its finest.
Yes.
AI at its worst is exactly, Vin, what you were just saying. Whether it's music, whether it's whatever, any type of art. You scroll through Facebook right now, and there's so many fake photos that just, created by AI. And I get aggravated when I see that all the time. And I tend to think, to kind of bring this together with what we're talking about with this album and the music, I tend to think that, again, whether you love it or hate it, but that rock music that was coming out in the early 2000s to maybe like 2010, 2015 is, I don't want to say the last of a dying breed. God, I hope I'm wrong. And I know we probably sound like old people right now, because I'm sure there's plenty of newer bands, but now you have that AI influence. You have, and look, the bands we love are doing it, but we have the influence of people utilizing tracks in concert and all of that stuff. the industry has just drastically changed in the last 5, 10 years, in my opinion, for the worse.
Yeah.
I love going to concerts. I love, what did I say before about the song Mama, right, on this album? When I
Right.
first heard on the album, I was very wishy-washy about it. And then going to see it in concert and the energy and the performance changed my opinion of that
Yeah.
song. That to me is an art that's going to be lost. It's
Well,
already getting lost to some degree. And as
Yeah.
we progress in the next 10, 20 years, I think that's going to be lost because it just becomes more, all right, hit play. All right. So even if there are some live singing and live instruments, you just lose that spontaneity of a live
Yeah.
performance. And the impact of a song like, again, like Mama, when using that as the example, I think that impact is going to be lost because of all this AI and all this other nonsense.
Yeah.
yeah, listen.
At the very core, I'm sorry, Ben, do you want
No,
me to
no,
say?
you
No,
finish.
go ahead,
No, no,
man.
you finish, and then I'll go.
At the very core of this band, MCR, is talent and, like I said, well thought out, very, very interesting songs. But the other AI thing that's bothering me is when you go to YouTube and you could hear Freddie Mercury singing
Mm,
Yesterday, and
yes.
you could hear Paul McCartney singing Imagine. And what's troubling about that is when, I don't mean to be morbid, but when this generation is gone, that's going to be an accepted truth because no one's going to be around to say, hey, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second.
Right.
Paul McCartney never sang that. Freddie Mercury never sang that. You guys are being bamboozled. So when our voices are gone, who's going to be around to say, hey, listen, that never happened? And I think
True.
that's very, very, very troubling.
Very,
Yeah.
very true.
Look,
Agreed.
to me, the music industry changed certainly in the late 90s and in 98 when Cher released that Believe song and that was the first
Yep.
real known use of auto tune. That's when auto
Yes.
Mm,
tune, that's why it had that weird kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Then the people who created that auto tune then kind of find it so that you not only get that effect, but it'll keep your pitch and everything. And you could use it on records, you could use it live. And then after that, as we know, or during that time too, Napster and then the iPod and Apple, and that was really what changed music.
mhm.
The problem I have is with those tools, well, with auto tune, you were listening to records for years and hearing perfect performances. I could listen to a lot of old records in here where people aren't pitch perfect. Even
Yep.
Whitney Houston in the 80s.
Yeah.
Now you had all that. All right, all right. Oh, okay. So now they're fixing the vocals. But they did sing it, but this isn't actually the true performance. Now it's not even that anymore. Now we don't even know what to think. How do we? I bought a program, guilty as charged. It's called, I think it's called Voice AI or something like that, where I sing and I could pick from 20 vocalists, from a
Wow.
kid to female to male. And I'm telling you, this is convincing. I could
Wow.
sound like Barry White if I want. I will never use this on anything I do. I wanted to see, how it worked.
You just wanted to play and have fun.
I want to play, right?
Mhm.
Even on the back, I said, well, maybe on a backing vocal. I always try to do high. Maybe I could get away with that, buried in the mix. But if I feel guilty, I feel dirty. It feels dirty to me.
It
But
is
the
dirty.
fact of the matter, this is one of the first, if not the first, plugin that does this. That anybody could sing, and it doesn't care. It's just here's and can just make you sound like $1 million. So what is real when you're listening to anything? Here's a new artist. Oh, this artist is great. How do you even know if it's real?
They don't exist. Yeah.
No, no.
It's
And
terrible.
look, I'll say, and I
And
haven't
now,
seen.
and how does it get monetized too? There's the whole problem with monetizing,
Yeah.
right? With Spotify and all this stuff. Now they're monetizing this to somebody somebody's putting it out. So now they're getting monetized for something what did they create?
Yep.
Other than
No,
inputting into computer, and then the people like myself and Mario and a lot of my friends or artists, we don't even get a shot at that.
agreed.
Right.
And I think for me, that's one of the things that makes me still drawn to this record because in some ways for me, and again, this is only for me, this was the last of a dying breed, right? This was the last album that I can remember buying where
Hmm.
beginning to end, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's something new I haven't heard. Oh, that's interesting. And where it kind of grabbed me beginning to end. For me, I know you said it started with Cher and Believe in the late 90s. And I totally, no disagreement with you. But from the rock side, it really started to change, especially for me, like 2010, 15, like where it just became much more computerized and less about the heart and what was inside the musicians' bodies. Didn't mean I liked everything that was coming out, and there's a lot that came out that I didn't like, but it felt genuine. And for me, that's why I'm still 20 years later drawn to this album because, again, for me, having lived with the album for 20 years, and maybe that's why I still hold it in such high regard. It's the last one I remember buying and having that feeling. There's albums that have come out since then that I love, don't get me wrong, but I didn't have that same feeling. And I'll say this, I haven't seen the band in concert yet this year. I'm going in a few weeks. But to my knowledge, at least when I saw them 2, 3 years ago, multiple times, not one track, not one background vocal, and none of that type of stuff. It was 100% live. Yeah, and I know when they do a song like Blood at the end of performing the album, they use a track to play the keyboard. I don't care about that. That's a
Right.
goof thing, you know. When they're playing live, they're really playing live. And but Vin, I agree, and Mary, I agree. It's a little bit of a dying breed, and
Yeah.
maybe that's one of the reasons
No.
I'm still drawn to this album 20 years later because it's the last connection to that era for me.
Yeah.
People were highly critical of Gene Simmons when he said rock and roll is dead. Remember? How
Yeah.
many years ago did he say that?
Yeah, at least a
Spot
decade
on.
ago. Yeah, at
Spot
least a
on.
decade ago. Yeah.
He's
What's
an
wrong about what
intelligent
he
guy.
said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look,
Yeah.
people misinterpret that, and then we'll wrap up. People misinterpret that comment. Gene is saying there's nothing newer that's coming out, right? And people are always like, oh, well, look at Def Leppard selling out stadiums. Look at Journey. Look at My Chemical Romance is selling out a stadium. These are all bands that are 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. His point is what's come out in 2025 in rock that is having that impact.
Right.
And maybe it's just that we're old. And sometimes I do think that maybe we're old. And I forget which one of you guys said it when we were talking about this album. But Mary, you were saying like your kids like, Dad, you're listening to that? That's what you're listening to? And I'm the first to admit that even me, who's had a little bit more of an open mind to newer music, has started to shut that down as I get older and older, right? And
Right.
maybe it's out there. I'd like to think it's out there and we just don't know about it. That's what I'm hoping Gene is wrong and I'm hoping we're wrong also.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that
very
we're
true.
just old, you know?
Well, it's really, I mean, let's see, what is it run by? It's run by the music industry is run by Spotify playlists and whatever Spotify, again, Beato does his, all right, let's go through the top 10 Spotify songs. And most of them he's rolling his eyes and I'm rolling my eyes and I'm just like, oh my God, it's like this.
But Vin, I'll say
know?
this. When I first told you that My Chemical Romance was going to tour for this album, and I told you that not only were they playing stadiums, 60, 70, 80,000 people, but that the shows sold out within 2 hours, you were flabbergasted, right? You had no clue. You're like, they could draw that type of crowd? Really? Like,
but true, but they are a 20-plus-year-old band at this point,
Of course, no, but my point is, are there other bands out there
Oh, I'm sure there
that
are.
I don't know the name, you don't know the name, Mary doesn't know the name, but they're selling out the Garden and we don't even realize it.
I'll never forget. I came over your house once, and I don't know your daughter said, "Oh yeah, Panic at the Disco." I was like, "Panic at the what?"
Right.
And I know they're another one. I'm not saying they're My Chemical Romance, but far as I know, they're pretty popular, aren't they?
They're all popular, yes. Mhm.
Right. So again, this is a band I wouldn't even know who they were. And I was in your house and I heard them mentioned. Now, maybe I casually, or if I was in a band, they said, "Oh, it's covering the song," but I would not know that they have that kind of popularity.
And I know my kids listen to them, my daughter especially. And off the top of my head, I don't know what songs are theirs, but I know they play amphitheaters and sell those out with, so they're selling out 15, 16,000 seaters with no problem. But I also wonder, as we get older, we look back fondly on fill in the blank, whatever bands we like, Kiss, Motley Crue, or you name the band, doesn't matter. And I wonder, as we get 20 years removed from now, do people start to look fondly at the bands of the last 20 years and have that same feeling about these bands that we do about the ones we grew up with? It's just that we don't have that connection because we weren't kids.
Right.
So, because I saw My Chemical Romance on their follow-up tour to this album with my daughter in a club in Manhattan, 4,000 people. That was after this album, right?
Wow.
Fast forward 20 years later, and they're selling out a stadium in 2 hours.
Wow.
How did that happen? Because people get older and they start to reminisce about what was part of their childhood. You get some newer fans brought in So I just cautioned the three of us, and I put myself in there, that perhaps with three old geezers, that we just don't understand, right? Now, the whole AI thing, Vin, I agree with, but I think maybe just because we're not growing up with the music, Vin, what did
Right.
you say before? There's not a bad song on this album, really, but
Mhm.
it's, it's not something that, I'll always go back to what I grew up with, and that's just human nature, I think, right? I think
I
Yeah,
think
Mario,
so.
if
yeah,
you're sitting down, you're gonna say, I'm gonna put on a
It's
Beatles album right now, right? Because that's
it's
that's part of your DNA.
Well,
it's nostalgia is
yeah,
a big part of concert tickets, you know. I
Yes.
mean,
Mhm.
McCartney is struggling with his vocals, and he just put tickets up the other day,
Yep.
and they're thousands and thousands of dollars,
Crazy.
and people want to go, you
Yep.
know, and because for that money, you're plucking down that you can feel 15 again.
Yes.
And with that information, he owns you, you know, and,
Yes.
and that and that's it, because we all want to be. The first time I heard Kiss Alive, I was with my friend, Vinny, another Vinny.
yeah,
And and it was wonderful,
Yes.
when my sister brought in the Beatles Blue album and Red album, and the discovery from those albums to go get the original albums, it was all important stuff when we were
Agreed.
kids.
Agreed.
And now I don't see this, not
No.
My Chemical Romance,
No.
but I don't see, you think Swifties are going to be talking about Taylor Swift, 50
I
years from
honestly,
now?
I
I don't
do.
think so.
I do.
You
I
think
hate to
so?
see, yeah, yeah, and I'll tell you why I think that, Mario.
All right.
Um, so growing up, my kids were into Avril Lavigne, and I'll admit, I liked her also. I thought she
Okay.
crafted good pop songs, but
Okay.
in my mind, she was so 20 years ago now, right? I mean, the last time anybody heard Skater Boy on the radio, right? One of her biggest hits. Fast forward to this year, and she's doing a quote unquote greatest hits tour.
Right.
And my son wanted to go. And I was like, yeah, I'll go. It'll be a fun night out. So we just went to the garden at the end of May to see her.
Uh,
Sold out.
wow. Okay.
Sold out.
All
Now,
right.
to my knowledge, she hasn't put out a hit song in 15 years.
mm,
Right. Right.
Sold out. Weeks ahead of time, couldn't get a ticket, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, why? Because that friggin' nostalgia is
Yeah.
just
It's big.
unbelievable. It's big. It's
It's
big.
big.
And that's not for me, you, and Vin, but for the kids who are in their 20s. And you look at the crowd, and it was most of them are between 20 and 30 years old. This is
Right.
what they remember from their childhood. So,
Okay.
do I
Good.
think Taylor Swift, who now has a bazillion fans around the world, do I think a fraction of those 20 or 30 years from now are going to still latch onto it and remember, hey, do you remember in 2023 and 2024
Right.
when we saw her in concert? I
Yeah.
I do. I
Okay.
just the fan base is too large for it to completely disappear. Because in my mind, if Avril Lavigne could hold on to a fan base and sell out the Garden 20 years later, how could
Makes
Taylor
sense.
Swift? How could
Makes
Taylor
sense.
Swift not sell it out?
Right.
Taylor Swift's at a level that honestly, I don't think we've seen in my lifetime. I haven't seen an artist at that type of level,
Right.
maybe ever. I mean,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. So that's why I say, forget my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
I think it will resonate with the younger generation. Just again, we're too freaking old. So Mario, let me ask you this, and then I do want to wrap up. Okay.
Go ahead.
So you started off saying you were looking for Alice Cooper tickets, right? And
Yeah.
you saw
Yeah.
he was playing Philly,
With
opening up for My Chemical Romance.
Yes.
Um, Pretend you ended up having a ticket for that show because you're an Alice Cooper fan and you want to see
Right.
Alice Cooper, right? And
Right. Right.
would you stay for at least the performance of this album, or are you like, hey, I could hit the road before traffic, I'm out of here? And it's okay to say I'm hitting the road.
mm.
No offense taken.
You know what? If I paid for the ticket and Alice was great, I would stick around,
Interesting.
because it's music.
Mhm.
It's not music I'm familiar with. I'm not going to be singing along with 40, 50,000 other people.
Well, you would now know they start the show playing the whole album front to back, and then the
Right.
last hour they do different songs every night, which is one of the things I love about seeing them. They
Right.
change the set list every single night, so you could leave after the first 13 songs and you'd be
Right.
fine.
But
So,
I gotta tell you that song "Summertime." I ran out
mhm.
and I downloaded that one.
Did
That
you?
was a really good song.
Yeah,
Really
it's
good song.
I happen to love that song as well. So
Yeah, it's a good
like
one.
I said, if I was trying to convert you, because there's more songs like that on that album, I might have if I was trying to convert you, I would have chosen that album. But then I
Okay.
couldn't have fallen back on, do you hear the classic rock influences and all of that?
Right.
So
Right.
Mm.
yeah,
Well,
int-
it was a challenge, and that's
it
what
was a
makes this
challenge.
discussion very, very interesting.
Exactly, exactly. Vin, anything else? Any other rant you need to go on before we
No,
wrap
no,
this
no,
up?
no, 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 no. Because you know why?
Why?
Guess why?
Because if then I'll miss my dinner and
It's dinner time. That's
that's
right.
right, exactly.
I do have my snap eel, but you know.
Snap heel.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you both for having an open mind with this because, like I said, I was really curious to see what people who were focused classic rock really would say and think about this. And Mario, it actually, when I go upstairs, I told my wife that I don't think either of these guys are really going to like this album, especially Mario. When I tell her you had a perfect 10, she's going to be like, well, which song? So I appreciate that open-mindedness. And to everybody else listening and watching, I'm curious, A, are you a fan? If you're not, you probably tuned out a long time ago. But if you know, what do you think of this album? What do you think of the new music? What do you think of what Vin, Mario, and I were saying about AI and all of that? If you do like this album, what songs stand out to you? What do you like? All opinions are welcome. There's no right or wrong answers, as I always say, and that's one of the reasons I chose this because I wanted different opinions and different points of view. So I look forward to everybody else giving their opinions as well. On that note, I think it's dinner time, guys. Let's wrap this, and thank you both. Until next time.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Oh yeah!
Alrighty, there you have it. Our thoughts and our opinions on the My Chemical Romance album, The Black Parade. We look forward to reading and seeing all the comments and feedback from the MCR fans out there. Again, keeping in mind our rating system of 0 to 10, with 5 being average, 7 and higher being elite, and of course 10 being the greatest song of all time. Remember, not all songs are 10s, but that doesn't mean that they're not still great songs. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You could also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.